Welcome to Paddlecast with Betsy
and Billy. On Paddlecast, we talk to and about paddlers who are pushing the limits, paddlers who are pushing their own limits, and pushing the limits of paddle sports.
We did it! This episode marks the end of Paddlecast Season 1, the end of 2025, and the beginning of the Paddlecast Paddler of the Year Awards.
Yeah, we published our first episode back in March, and we've covered most of the biggest races in the world of marathon, surfski, and sprint.
We have made a lot of predictions, and we've gotten a lot right and a lot not quite right.
One of the things I've enjoyed most is seeing paddlers completely outperform our expectations of them, often outperforming their own expectations, and sometimes achieving things on the water that everyone thought was impossible. So today, we're taking some time to reflect on those moments and who we think are the standout paddlers of 2025.
So we have 4 categories. The first 3 categories are Surfski Paddler of the Year, Marathon Paddler of the Year, and Sprint Paddler of the Year. For those categories, the considerations will be performance. So, how did this paddler perform at key races in their respective discipline? Progress. So, has this paddler made a notable step up in 2025 compared to previous years? And potential. Does this paddler have untapped potential? Is this someone whose paddling career you just can't wait to follow next season and even beyond?
The fourth category is Paddle of the Year, which will go to the paddler or paddlers who completed the most outstanding single paddle of the year, a performance that seemed impossible until they did it. This could be a race, an adventure, or a record.
We have put the question to all of you via social media, and you have responded with a bunch of fantastic nominations. So, to decide each category, Billy and I will look at your nominations and the paddlers who we think need to be considered, and then we'll debate with each other until we can agree on who should be Paddler of the Year.
So, starting with Surfski Paddler of the Year, and looking at the nominations we received, there was one name that absolutely flooded in, and that was Kira Bester.
No real surprise here. I think if she hadn't completely overtaken our nominations, you and I would have brought Kira to the table on this one anyway. So Kira has had a phenomenal season. She has won almost every single race that she has started this year. So in the first part of the season, she won the South African National Championships in single surf ski, the Freedom Paddle in double surf ski with Melanie van de Kerk. She won the Euro Challenge, and that was just the beginning of the season. Then she made it through sort of South African winter there, training really hard, and came out and took her second World Championship title. And then she went on to another spate of races towards the end of the year to win a bunch of those. And that was the Mox the Dragon Run in Hong Kong, she won again, the ICF World Cup in Reunion, WA Race Week. She did really well. She won overall there and won the Doctor. The Cape Point Challenge, she just won very recently. Racing almost every weekend, traveling all over the world for this, and she has just been incredible. She has technically been beaten by probably her biggest competition, which is, of course, Danielle Richards, as well as Gemma Smith, both former world champions. Gemma, the only previous 2-time world champion. And Danielle just managed to beat Kira at the Pete Marlin in South Africa, which was the week after World Championships. And Gemma managed to beat her in a couple of the smaller WA Race Week events, including the Sunset Series and Dash for Cash. We talked to her about how she has looked up to both Gemma and Danielle for years as her role models. Finally she's come into her own. She's actually not only proven that she can beat them, but that she can do it consistently in the biggest races of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Kira's obviously had an amazing season. You can't win every race, and if you did, it really wouldn't make the sport look very healthy. She's got some really good competition there, and that's gonna keep her on her toes. I mean, what a season! I mean, for me, we could stop it here, but are there any other nominations?
Yes, we do have a few other nominations, including Rosie Edwards.
Good point. Yeah,
Yeah, Rosie is another one who has had a really big standout season this year, a jump up from her for her from last year. So some of her best results from last year included podium placements at Euro Challenge and fifth place under 23 at the World Championships in Madeira. And those are obviously great results, but Rosie has really stepped it up this year. So she had a bunch more podium results in the under 23 category. I think this is her last year under 23. And of course, the biggest moment of her season, she finished third place overall and won the under 23 category at the World Championships in Durban, which was just incredible.
it was amazing. I was on the beach, sort of talking briefly, occasionally to her parents, and it was like, where is she? Where is she? Oh, like she was sixth, and then she comes round the buoy, and there's like someone all in pink, and you're like, that's Rosie. Like it was amazing, and like yeah, she's had some pretty good results. Like last year, like she won Cape Point last year and all the under 23 podium stuff. But like to break through into the top echelon of women's racing is amazing.
It really is. And to see her, being the first of the paddlers behind Kira and Danny at World Championships, like I think we can say Kira, Danny, and Gemma are sort of that top level,
Yeah,
and Rosie is really, seems to be the leading paddler behind them, which is phenomenal because she has really serious competition. So she's spent a lot of time training in South Africa over the last few months towards the back half of this year. And that does seem to have helped her level up. And it's given her, some of the best competition in the world in the women's field.
yeah, they've got a really strong group down there. But I mean, she's now beating these really good South African girls fairly regularly now on the back half of the season. Jade Wilson, Saskia Hockley, Milani Van Niekerk. It's really exciting, especially from a British point of view. And she could com- carry on leveling up and compete with the likes of Kira, Danielle, and Gemma. In the coming years, and it could be really exciting.
I think so. I mean, just the level she's jumped up this year and in the past few months alone. If she keeps this up, she will be hot on their tails, and they will probably need to be watching out for her pretty soon.
Did we get any other nominations?
We did. So a few other names that came through for Surfski Paddler of the Year included Corey Hill, Brindy Kraft, John White, and Nikki Naughton. So Corey obviously has just won his fourth world championship title. What a phenomenal paddler. He is in conversations about greatest of all time, or at least greatest of his generation, which we've talked about quite a lot in our Durban recap. He also just won the Doctor again. Of course, the big race that caps off WA Race Week in Australia. Phenomenal paddler. I think the only reason we might kind of not put Corey up there for our official Paddler of the Year award is because he is just so good that we kind of expect it from him at this point.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, really, isn't it? Because it is expected, and he missed out on Molokai by a wave, and if that had gone the other way, then we'd probably been having a real tough decision between Kira and Corey. But yeah, we're being a bit harsh here and relegating Corey to any other nominations, which
I
is
think you're right. I think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
It's tough. This doesn't feel good. And another one. So Brindy was the next one who came up. And it's great timing of the year for Brindy because she just finished second place behind Kira at Cape Point Challenge, which was a really exciting result for Brindy. She had another solid year at the Surfski World Championships. I think pretty consistent with how she performed in Madeira last year, which was great. And she finished the Cape Point Challenge ahead of Nix Burkett as well, another one of those sort of top South African women. And it was a reversal of their results at Worlds. So, really exciting for Brindy. She seems to be really solidifying herself as a top ultra paddler this year. So she started the year by coming second place overall with Joe Peterson at the Devises to Westminster, DW, behind Tom Sharp and Anushka Freeman, and ahead of Billy, yourself, and John O'Grady. So she had top level competition. So really impressive DW result from her. She also raced at the Thames 200 Ultra on the women's relay team that came, I think, fourth fastest relay team overall at Thames 200, and they were the only all women's team. So really excited for Brindy. She's had a great year, particularly. Oh, and of course she competed at her first Marathon World Championships in Hungary. So yeah, a great ultra paddler. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next year.
yep, yeah. John White. I mean, this could have been in for marathon, Surfski. Bearing in mind the nomination came in from my mother, he has had a great year. He did come on and do an interview with us a couple of episodes ago, so go and have a listen to that if you haven't already. I don't think John would hold his hand up for Surfski Paddler of the Year, but as it's my mother, we will include him.
Well, and marathon too, because he's had a really good year in marathon.
He has, yeah. He's probably had a better marathon year, winning medals at Worlds and Europeans. So yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
I'm happy to include him in every category. So yeah,
agreed. He's got to be in the mix. Nick Naughton was the last one who came through, and we talked about him in some of our Surfski Worlds coverage as well. He has had a great season. He is part of that group, the Fishhook training group that has been pretty devastated by the loss of their coach, Pete Cole, in, I think it was July of this year, of course, including Kira Bester as well, and Rosie Edwards, from the UK, but sort of being part of that group too. Nick he's had a great season. Obviously, he's a former world champion, so it's not new necessarily to see him at the top or close to the top. But he just finished second place at the Doctor, behind 12 seconds behind Corey Hill. So yeah, great season for Nick Naughton.
yeah, he's obviously a top paddler, and yeah, a good nomination. But yeah, I mean, he's had a very good season, and he performed very well, stepping in for Hamish Lovemore at the Marathon Worlds, and exciting to watch him next year as well.
Yeah, it's a great point. Another paddler who we could kind of throw into either the surf ski or marathon category.
Yeah.
All right, last chance. Anyone else we need to talk about before we get into our debate?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Nix Burkett on the when we were talking about this earlier. She's just won Port Elizabeth to East London, and she got a bronze at Cape Point. She performed really well at Surfski Worlds. Yeah, that she popped into my head when we were going through who'd had really good seasons. Um, but yeah, my vote. I think it's your vote as well. You going to say your vote?
Should we could count down and say it on three.
Okay,
Three, two, one.
Kira
Kira
Bester.
Bester. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to have our harsh debates and disagreements later, but I just think we're agreed on this. All the nominations, I mean, not all of them, obviously, and there's some other amazing paddlers who we've talked about, and certainly more out there that we don't have time to cover, who are worth considering for this one. But Kira is just absolute standout, far and away. What a phenomenal season! Performance, progress, potential. I just don't think anyone can really stand up to her on that.
No, I yeah, yeah, she's dominated, and she's gone around the place racing. She's really putting in a lot of effort to promote the sport. I think, yeah, easy win.
Yeah, agreed. She's working really hard on her social media presence. I think we talked to her that she's doing some coaching sessions. I mean, most importantly, she has come on to Paddlecast for a guest interview twice this year
Yeah, yeah,
and sent us some voice notes and video recordings too. So, really big ups to Kira. Amazing season. I am going to quote from one of the nominations that we received for her because I think it kind of sums up the decision here, which said Kira won back-to-back world champs, now including beating both DMAC and Gemma in big races this year, who've been the dominating paddlers for the ladies over the last few years. DMAC at Worlds, Gemma at the Doctor, while still being in her first year in the open category. So Kira literally only just turned 23 in November. I think it was while she was racing Mox the Dragon Run. So
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
phenomenal performance and potential. Yeah. Let's move on to the Marathon Paddler of the Year. I have a feeling this is going to be harder to decide. We had one paddler with a few nominations, and I think this person was going to be your nomination as well, Billy. So let's start with that one.
Yeah, so maybe with a bit of GB bias coming in here, but the results back him up, and I'm going to nominate Will Short. He has won medals in all but one race at the Europeans and the Worlds this year, which not many paddlers can say that. So he is the reigning European and world champion in the short course. He won that European title ahead of Sean Butterley from Ireland by 9 seconds. He took a silver medal in the K1 long course behind Leonardo Candela at the Europeans. We've talked a lot this year about his K2 with Alex Morgan, and rightfully so. They won bronze at the K2 Europeans, and then they upgraded that to silver at the World Championships in Hungary, only beaten by Hungarians who are notoriously great paddlers, especially in team boats and at home. So he's my nomination.
Yeah, that Will has had such a phenomenal year. I was not surprised to see the nominations coming in online for him as well. Definitely a bit of GB bias, but as you say, those results really back it up. I think the only
Yeah.
race that he didn't medal in this season was the K1 long course at World Championships in Hungary.
Wasn't he
Um,
ill?
yeah, he was
Yeah.
ill.
Yeah.
And not only did he not, so he ended up DNFing that because he was so ill, and that was the day before that K2 medal with Alex Morgan. So he literally was like had to pull out of the race because he was so ill. Went straight back to his accommodation to recover, and
Yeah.
then showed up the next day like he was not. I'm trying to remember. I think he was even looking like a little bit pale that morning and was really like pushing through it. still got into the K2 with Alex to race. They had something go wrong during their race too. They had this moment on a portage. I was standing right there filming, and Alex's top got caught on the back
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
K2. And they still, like, just smooth as anything, totally undisrupted, kept going, stayed with the pack. Uh, it was really, and these are juniors, right? They're under 18. I think this is Will's last year as a junior. But wow, they are such a good crew.
yeah. And look, his grandparents listen to our podcast, so that also just edges him a little bit closer to that top spot.
It's true. I think Will has, I think all four grandparents as well were in Hungary supporting him. They listened to Paddlecast. Shout out to the grandparents of Will Short and the whole family. He's definitely a good candidate for this one.
So if I nominated Will, who are you going to bring to the table?
So I'm sure this is going to be a complete shock to you. Melina Anderson is my nomination,
Yeah,
and we've talked a lot about her this year, as she deserves. I think, we have said performance, progress, and potential. And I think with recency bias, you might be like, well, Melina was already such a good paddler. She was already on top. Is she really someone who can win on progress and potential, which of course we do have for Will Short, especially being a junior paddler. Easy to say that he's got a lot of progress and potential there, as well as of course the results. But I think we have to rewind back to the beginning of this year with Melina and try to take away that recency bias, because at the beginning of the year she had just won her first marathon world championship title ahead of Vonda Kisley at the end of
yeah,
last year, and that was a race that came down to a sprint finish.
yeah, yeah.
And like that was a really, really big deal. Vonda has absolutely dominated marathon for like 10 years. I mean, what an incredible paddler. So starting this year, yes, Melina had, was the reigning world champion, but she was not in a position, she's in a completely different position now, where she won the world games, both the short course and the long course, with an absolutely dominant performance.
That was such a good paddle.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just incredible. I mean, her margin um, at the World Games marathon was like 2 minutes
yeah,
ahead of Vonda Kisley. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, 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 yeah. That was good. It
like,
was it was very impressive, wasn't it?
yeah. So that was huge. And then her world championship results, she finished second in the short course behind Zoka Chicas. Zoka Chicas has had a ridiculous year as well in sprint, and then, just kind of showed up for that short course marathon race. She, of course, has raced marathon a lot before and is just a top paddler. But yeah, phenomenal um, from Melina. And then, of course, she went on to win the long course ahead of Vonda Kisley again, um, and again by a solid margin. So phenomenal results in marathon. She also, I know this is Marathon Paddler of the Year, but I will mention some of her sprint results and her 5K results too, where she's had one of her best seasons in sprint this year as well. Um, she raced the 5K at the Szeged Sprint World Cup and won that by 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obscene for a 5K.
That's
Um,
decent, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, she's had a phenomenal season. I'm a big fan. Got to meet her and Vonda Kisley in Hungary, and of course a bunch of the world's best marathon paddlers, which was just incredible. But yeah, I mean, looking at the big picture from Melina, I would say 2025 is the best season that she's had. She has officially sort of like moved us from the Vonda era of marathon into the Melina era of marathon, and that's no mean feat. So,
But didn't I say that on one of our first podcasts? And you were like, whoa, 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 no, 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 that's not true. And then it's like, hang on a minute, like 6 months later.
I think we had to. I felt like we needed more evidence. Like one race is not enough to judge that on. You know.
That's true. That's true. And I do remember at the time I was actually more thinking of her short course results. But I mean,
Yeah.
look, it was a big shame that Melina was ill for the European Championships, because I think if she'd have been at the European Championships, this wouldn't have even been a debate. It would have just been, you know, yes, Melina is the marathon paddler of the year.
It's true. It is really sad that she missed out on that. She was very ill. I think it was like a really bad flu or something like that.
Yeah.
And it opened the door for Anna Sletstro to take the win too, which was a pretty big deal
Yeah.
and great result for her, which um, predicted some of her fantastic results at the World Championships as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, yeah, Melina's definitely my big nomination for this.
Okay. So did we get any other nominations?
Yeah, we did have a few more that came through online. So one was Jose Ramalho from Portugal,
Yeah.
Mads Brandt Pedersen from Denmark, of course, and you'll appreciate this one, I think, Billy Butler for finishing the River Canoe Marathon with a dislocated shoulder.
Well, I am going to pass that one off, and I will award it to the painkillers who did most of the work on that one. So yeah, they did a lot of
Fair
heavy
enough.
lifting, and to be honest, Matt Rowlands, who had to do a lot more work than he was expecting, and he didn't complain too much about it. So yeah, okay, Romaglio and Mads Pedersen, and I would also. I mean, I'm also leaning on his 5K results here quite a lot, but John Vold, I think, should be in the mix here.
Yeah.
So, Jose Romaglio, obviously an absolute legend of the sport. He's been around forever, but he still keeps surprising me and probably everyone. He out paddles, people who are much, much younger than him. He must be regularly racing people that are half his age. But yeah,
Yeah.
he had a really good season, took a bunch of medals this year, European, Worlds, and the World Games as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he got bronze. It was interesting at the World Games because you had identical results for the short course and the long course, which
yeah,
was Mads first, Hamish Lovemore second, and Jose Ramalho third. So two bronze medals from
yeah.
World Games.
So obviously both behind Mads, who is also, nominated. One of my personal idols. And yeah, whilst Mads was potentially nominated in this category, I think he's probably more into the Paddle of the Year category, because he again missed the Europeans. But yeah, I mean, Marathon World Games and Marathon World Champion. So yeah, be a bit harsh, but um, we kind of expected it from him, though, didn't we?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing with Mads is like he's so good and he has been on top for so long that it's not, winning is not a big step up for him because he's won so much before. I mean, he was phenomenally dominant, especially in that world championships race in Hungary. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes, I think, and try to do him justice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I feel incredibly harsh, sort of, saying that, but yeah. Have you
Yeah.
yeah have you got any other nominations?
So I'm going to throw a wild card in and be a little bit greedy with one more. And I'll say I don't think we're going to award it to these two people because we created the award for one paddler, but these two we just have to mention.
I think I know
because they
where you're
had such a
going.
great year. And if we were giving a team award, which we can't because we don't have time, but if we were giving a team award, I would give it to the two Tanyas.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, I think they need to trademark that too as just like team name, the two Tanyas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they, so that's of course Tanya Fernandez Garcia and Tanya Alvarez Yates from Spain.
So yeah, so great, great year. Uh, they won the Cellar, and that
Yep.
was the second time they've won that. And then they won gold at the Marathon Worlds in was it? What did we end up saying that was our favorite race?
I think we did. Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
decided that was our favorite race of the whole weekend.
yeah,
So yeah.
um, yeah. So yeah, I like it. I like it.
Honorable mention to the two Tanyas. And the level was so high there, like, which was part of why it was our favorite race, the level at the front. Tanya and Tanya had to beat Vonda Kisley, who was racing with Zofia Serafin for Hungary, and then the other Hungarian, the two Panas, Pana
Yeah,
Cinco and Pana Chepe, both like really, really strong boats. And, Hungarian home crowds cheering Hungarian waters. And the two, they just, we talked about this in our recap of the Marathon Worlds in Cure, but they just put together a perfect race.
yeah, yeah. It did. It was brilliant. Okay, so we've got a lot of nominations. Would you like to do the same thing and do a countdown and say who you think it is?
Ooh, I don't know if we're going to agree.
We might not, but that's why we
Okay.
count down.
All right. Three, two, one, countdown. Three, two, one. Melina
Melina
Anderson.
Anderson.
Oh, we agreed.
Yeah, I realized, I think I was running this morning and I was like, actually, do you know what? Like, you know, actually, Melina had a better season than Will. And
Which is hard to do because he won. I mean, he medaled and yeah,
I,
yeah. But
yeah, I think if he'd have won the long course as well, then then it would have been different, obviously. But he's a top level junior, so he's got that big fish, small pond sort of thing going on. I mean, I did nothing at junior, so I'm. But Melina Anderson is racing at a senior level. She has had to like beat Van der Kisley. What she did at the World Games was just amazing, and equally at the World Championships, she's the dominant paddler, and I think, um, yeah, I think it's harsh on Mads because actually Mads was dominant in the short course at the Worlds and the long course. And is that definitely true? He did win the short course, didn't he, at Worlds by quite a big margin? No, he didn't. No, but he did put in a humongous effort. I did see him like really trying to. It was a big effort. He was pulling hard. He got silver, right?
I think Pimenta won the short
Yeah,
course because I think Pimenta only raced
he
short
did.
course and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doubles. Yeah,
So and Mads got silver, but so to win World Games gold, double gold, and then silver and gold
yeah.
at the Worlds is very good. So I feel a bit harsh on Mads there, but yeah, Melina Anderson for me.
Okay. I'm excited that we agreed. I think yeah. Okay. So that moves us on to sprint.
Yeah,
Starting with the nominations we received for Sprint Paddler of the Year, Hamish Lovemore, Joseph Dostal, and Martin Fuchse, which is pretty exciting for Czechia getting two of those nominations.
yeah,
And I don't think that was from Czech bias either. I think just from people impressed by Fuchse and Dostal.
yeah, that's true. I think yeah, Hamish is someone I had in mind already as well. I think that great result at World Cup One in May, really stood out.
Yeah, his result in May at that first World Cup in Szeged, it was silver behind the Hungarian Balint Kopas, and it was only by 0.17 of a second
Yeah,
in that K 1000 meter race, of course. And it was such a big result. It really made a huge splash. I think everyone around the world kind of went, "Oh wow, this is someone that we really need to be watching." And it was a step up from his previous years. So he beat in that race. He was more than 2 seconds ahead of Joseph Dostal, Jakob Thordsen, and a bunch of other guys from the Olympic A final. And that is in contrast to last year, where he still paddled really well, but at the Paris Olympics, he finished eighth in his semifinal. And then he did go on to win the B final. But I think, he's got 3 years to get faster before the LA Olympics. And this kind of result, even if the rest of his year was not quite as strong in sprint as that early result in Szeged, it does prove, especially when you look at like he was kind of like pretty close to making the A final, like winning the B final is great in Paris.
Yeah.
Um, it makes me excited to follow the next 3 years for him and see how he does in this Olympic cycle.
I think part of the appeal of Hamish getting to the Olympics is that he does everything, and he's had a great year outside of sprint. He raced doubles at Surfski Worlds with Jenna Nesbitt, and they came through in the final few meters to just sneak past Walter Bouzon and Judith Verges to take the bronze. He gave Mads a great run for his money at the World Games in some really exciting racing. He then won the fish with Andy Burkett,
Yeah.
and he is just a really exciting paddler that can do it all and is trying to make it in the Olympics. um, yeah, it's good to watch.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're also biased towards those paddlers who are multidisciplinary and racing a ton. And it makes things more fun for us. And it's just so much fun to follow along too.
Yeah,
I think it was disappointing that Hamish Lovemore was ill before the just going into the marathon world championships in Hungary, because it would have been great to see him match up against Mads again in the short course and long course. And against, there were a few other really top guys in that short course, including who didn't race the long course, including Fernando Pimenta and Adam Varga. But yeah, great year for Hamish.
so Joseph Dostal had a nomination as well, and he was just really consistent up there. From what I remember of our reviews of sprint, it was just he was always up there. In a season where he's admitted that he was having some downtime, he was still just up there, coming through in the second half of every single race. It's just like boom, here comes the train, and yeah, great season. Uh, I I think he's had an overzealous supporter nominating him for Sprint Paddler of the Year, maybe, but he's well up there.
Yeah, I think this event, the K1 Men's Thousand, is maybe one of the most difficult to disrupt, because practically everyone in that sort of top 10 or 15 are like multiple former Olympians, former world champions. It's just one of the most consistent and mature Olympic events, which is
Yeah,
why it was impressive to see Hamish break into the medals at a World Cup. But for Dostal, he is one of these guys who's been doing it forever. Like he won his first Olympic medal in 2012.
wow,
So
yeah,
yeah, like 13 years ago. That was in K4. And then since then, he has won a medal in every Olympics, and including in K2 and K1. And of course, he is our current reigning Olympic champion in that men's K1000 after winning gold in Paris last year. So yeah, I think it's like, how do you beat that, right? He's had such a long career, so many medals and top results. He's our reigning Olympic champion. I would have given him this award last year.
yeah, for sure. But unfortunately, Paddlecast wasn't around then.
So honorary 2024 award to Joseph Dostal, and maybe a future one too. We'll have to see. It's going to be hard for him to to top what he's already done.
I felt like I had a pretty good 2024.
Okay, that's true. We haven't given you a fair shot.
No, I was Performance Sea Kayak Paddler of the Year 2024.
That's true,
Um,
actually. Was it 2024 or 2025 that you did your North Sea crossing? I can't remember if it was
that
December or
was last
January.
year. That was 2024.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that was great.
Actually, on a complete tangent, but it is interesting. At the end of every year, I don't edit this out. I run through what I did this year in canoeing, and then I send the person a message to just say, "Hey, thank you for being a part of that day, that paddle, or whatever." And I did actually included Paddlecast, so thank you for getting me into this because it's been quite a
Aw,
big part of my 2025. Is that this year? 2025
yeah,
kayaking has been doing Paddlecast.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually remember you mentioning that to me, and I thought, gosh, that's such a good thing to do, and just like acknowledge. Yeah, so thank you.
I feel like people must laugh when they get the text message saying, be like, what's this message from Billy all about? It's a bit soft, but I like it. It's a good way to keep in contact with your friends. But let's talk about more sprint paddlers of the year rather than me getting all gooey about who I paddle with in the year.
All right. Uh, Martin Fuchsa. He's our third nomination, and this is a really strong nomination right here.
Yeah.
He is also coming off a gold medal from last year's Paris Olympics in the C1 1000 meters. It was his third Olympics and his first Olympic medal, believe it or not, because he has a bunch of world championship medals. And I could say, he's got sort of a similar challenge to Dostal in that, like, he won Olympic gold last year. How is he going to beat that this year? But I kind of think maybe he has, because Fuchsa has been almost unbeaten all season. He has won this C1 1000 meter race at both World Cups, Sagan and Poznan. Um, and he also won the World Championships in Milan. The only race, a lot of people are like, oh, he's been unbeaten all year. I have to, just for the record, say technically, he's not quite unbeaten because he was beaten at the European Championships in Rachicha, Czechia, home turf as well, where Catalin Chirilla from Romania beat him, but it was only by 0.057 of a second, so less than 6/10 of a second. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I am, not much of a canoe fan, especially sprint canoe. But he has had a great season to the extent where I have actually watched some of his races, which says a lot, actually. Is there anyone else you want to throw into the mix here?
Yes, there is. And I had a really, really hard time shortening my list. So I'm going to apologize and try to mention really serious standouts. So these are two paddlers who are really young, who just, the type of paddler who I get really excited. I've seen how they've done this year, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to see how they develop over the next few years. The first is Natalia Drobot from Australia, 20 years old. She took 4 medals between the World Cups across K1 and K2 and K4. She won the K1 500 meters at the U23 Worlds. And then she won silver medals in K1 500 meters and K2 500 meters at the Senior Worlds in Milan. I mean, she is going up against truly like some of the top women in the world, Olympians. Like, she also just won the Paddle Australia awards. Not just one, she won 3 Paddle Australia Paddle of the Year awards, um, including their like overall Paddler of the Year. Uh, I think extremely well deserved. Yeah, I can't wait to follow her. And the other one, young up and coming paddler Victoria Yarchevska from Spain, who like made a huge splash in C1 and C2 this year. she came out at the Second World Cup and won the C1 200-meter race. Katie Vincent was in that race. Like, yes, it's sort of an off-cycle year for Katie, so I'm sure she'll be back on top again soon. I mean, she has been already. But yeah, incredible result for Victoria Yarchevska. And took bronze at the Europeans in C1, plus double gold in C2 with Angels Moreno in both the C2 200 and 500. Fifth place in C1 at World Championships, bronze at Worlds in the C2 500 meters. Also only 20 years old. Just has had a huge step up this season compared to last year. Super young. Can't wait to see what she does from here.
Yeah, being only 20, that is some good results there. Can I ask a question that is going to completely ruin the show notes? And I know we discussed it briefly earlier, but I heard Anna Paluska's name all season long, and we're not
Yeah,
nominating her.
I know. And we should nominate her too. Like, I'm telling you, I had such a hard time with the sprint paddlers because, especially because we are at the beginning of a new Olympic cycle. Sprint obviously is super, super driven by the Olympics. That's where the funding comes from. Like, that's where
Yeah,
the biggest, accolades and medals come from. And so, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year too, right? It's like it is naturally going to be a year where newer names are going to bubble up,
yeah,
and it's going to be people who you know don't necessarily expect, because it's a whole new Olympic cycle. So I guess it's not surprising, but yeah, Anna Palaska should absolutely be up there. She has been a really top paddler for a long time, but primarily focused on team boats. Because we're at the beginning of a new Olympic cycle, it gave her a chance to really show her stuff in K1. And she medaled at a bunch of the World Cups, Europeans, World Championships. Like, Anna Palaska from Poland did incredibly well. And I think she still raced some K2 and got medals there as well. And really, maybe the best candidate who I've not done justice to, but Zoka Chikos from Hungary.
yeah, yeah,
And again, it's like she's been a great marathon paddler for a long time, and Hungary has such a strong and deep program of paddling that she wasn't like, she's as good as she is and still wasn't at the Olympics last year because you had someone like Tamara Chibas there, right, who was out there getting a, I think she might have gotten as many medals as Lisa Carrington. I'll have to fact check myself on that. But like, K1, K2, K4, truly like legend of Hungarian paddling, amazing paddler. Bunch of other great team boat paddlers there. And I think 2025 has been the year of Zoka Chikos, who has picked up again medals at almost everything. Even throwing in that marathon short course race, like, for her, that was probably just like for fun.
yeah,
Like, end of the season, I've gotten loads of sprint medals. It's happening in Hungary. Why don't I just show up and win? Like, that's how I imagine her thinking about that race. Um, and yeah, it's Hungary. I give her the crown. She's got to keep doing what she's doing for 3 years. But unless Tamara Chivas does come back, which she hasn't said yet whether she's retired or not, um, Zoka Chicas could be the top Hungarian woman for the next 3 years.
yeah, yeah.
Have we missed off anyone else? Was there
Well,
other? Yeah.
we had some Instagram nominations for GB paddler Matt Collins, and I think really he's just a good teammate to get these nominations.
Yes, there was some really lovely feedback that came through for him, and we do have a lot of audience based in the UK, so
I
we
raced
we love
Matt.
a nomination for a good teammate and good
I
sportsman.
raced Matt in Exeter about got to be 5 years ago now. I think he was probably still a junior. I think he beat me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Either he just beat me or I just beat him in a sprint. I can't really remember how it happened, but I remember being pretty gassed, like it didn't have left much left in the tank.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's pretty good.
he's now a much better paddler. I wouldn't even be on the same stretch of water as him. Did you have another paddler to nominate?
Yes, because I just can't stop. Okay, final nomination, Hope Gordon.
Yep.
So Hope, the para sprint paddler from the UK, she again, it's like her results from last year were so good that it's hard to say that she's really taken a big step up this year. But I do think she has. So she won a silver medal in the VL3 event at the Paris Paralympics and finished fifth in the KL3 there. So she's one of the paddlers who does both the va'a or the canoe as well as the kayak. And uh, the GB Para Squad, we've talked about this and we talked about it with John White. Um, like the level of this squad is
Yeah, yeah,
so high. And even just trying to get onto the squad, you have to be in medal contention, right? Like that's the
yeah,
level because they're just so good. And so Hope's biggest competitors are often her own teammates. Laura Sugar, who has dominated the KL3, phenomenal paddler. Charlotte Henshaw, who won both the va'a and the kayak at the Paris Paralympics. Amazing paddlers. But this year, this is my case for Hope. So she won a gold medal in the VL3 and a bronze medal in the KL3 in Poznan at the World Cup in Poznan. And then she repeated those same results, so gold in va'a and bronze in kayak at the World Championships in Milan, plus gold in the va'a at Europeans. She didn't actually race kayak KL3 at the Europeans. Um, and I think those are just phenomenal results for Hope. Again, like she's training with the best in the world. She's racing against them every day. And it's really hard to sort of stand out when like everyone else on your team is getting Paralympic medals.
yeah.
But I think she has. I think it's been a big year for her. And I'm always excited to watch her. And of course, the rest of that GB Paris squad race.
I like it. I think I'm going to sit this one out and let you decide this one because I didn't actually follow sprint enough to really say who I think had the best season.
Oh no. You can't leave me alone for this one. I'm all I'll do is
Well,
name more names.
do you want me to pretend that I'm going to say something and then
And then fake me out.
yeah.
How about like top two or three? Who stands out to you as like the top two or three from everyone we've talked about?
Martin Fuchska had a great season. If
Yeah.
he was very nearly unbeaten, then that's pretty good. And actually, I didn't know what you said about Hope Gordon. I didn't know that, and that all sounded very impressive. So,
Yeah.
why don't you choose out of those two?
All right. And I think and I've not I don't think I've done justice to Zoka Chicos, but I would put her in the mix of those top three. So all
Yeah.
right, top three, Martin Fuchsa, Hope Gordon, Zoka Chicos.
Okay.
Should we, who
Okay.
oh man, how are we gonna I mean I think Fuchsa just because like it is so hard to be unbeaten or like 90% unbeaten.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's such a competitive field. So I think we're gonna give it to Martin Fuchsa. But this was a really tight one.
Okay. Well, now you've said a name, we're going to move on because I'm worried that you're going to nominate more people. So, paddle of the year. So, this is a sort of a single paddle, an expedition, and that really stood out as the best of the year. And many people nominated him. I believe he's the leading candidate for me, although yeah, pretty close for some. Sebastian Skrubski's Round Britain uh, paddle, and I didn't actually give him any chance when he set out, and it surprised me, but he did it. He did it really well. He took the record from finishing on the 40th day to finishing on the 37th, and it was hugely impressive.
Yeah, we've talked so much about the Sebastian this year. All of it, I think, really well deserved. We doubted that he could break Dougal's 40-day record because Dougal took the record from 67 days to 40.
Yeah,
Um, it's it was not an easy record to break. Sebastian had 15 days out of those 37 where he did more than 100 kilometers.
yeah,
On
that's
his
big.
longest day, on his longest day, he spent 19 and a half hours in the boat.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and the UK, it has some of the most technical and treacherous coastline in the world. I got to see Sebastian twice on this trip. I went down and saw him in Brighton on the south coast, which was around his halfway point, and then I drove up to Scotland to see him finish and officially break the record. It was just incredible. I really think it's one of the most impressive paddling achievements I've ever witnessed.
yeah. I think it could well be, and to put that record together over such a long period of time is hugely impressive. We covered it extensively, didn't we? It was great fun this
Yeah.
summer. I was green with envy, and it was very impressive. Um, the next nomination was DMAC's Molokai record back in May. 13 minutes off the old record. The record was set. The previous record was set in 2019, and it was belonged to Australian Jordan Mercer. Pat Dolan also broke the men's record this year. Really good conditions. Pat finished just ahead of Corey, like one wave, something like that.
Yeah, this was hugely impressive from Danielle Richards, who also broke it without having. I think
Yeah,
watching like Pat versus Corey was phenomenal and being so tight all the way to the finish. She broke this record without having another woman at the same level to push her.
yeah,
And 13 minutes is just massive. I mean, Molokai is like a pretty well established channel and race. So, yeah, amazing performance from Danielle. And I think as much as that is a phenomenal achievement, I also would really like to see more top Surfski women go out to race it. It's a hard race to do, which we talked about, I think, back in May after it happened,
yeah.
just logistically, obviously, as well as physically. But I think this race is on Kira Bester's bucket list, so I'm hoping that we see them go head to head sometime. And it's it is a big deal though. It's a great record and great performance from Danielle.
It does seem a bit harsh that like DMAC broke the Molokai record. She won Pete Marlin.
Yeah.
She was second, like not by much. Like Kira didn't have much in the bag
Oh
at
yeah.
Worlds, and DMAC wasn't nominated for Surfski Paddler of the Year. So I mean that's a bit harsh, but a nomination on the Paddlecast podcast Paddle of the Year will go almost to the top of her Wikipedia page. So yeah, she's here, but yeah, she did have a good season.
She had a great year, and yeah, again, it's one of those where we are being a bit harsh on her because she really does deserve to be in the conversation.
Yeah,
All right, we promised we'd talk about Mads again.
yeah, yeah. Mads, why not? It would be. How can you not talk about Mads again? So, Paddle of the Year, Mads's long course race at the Worlds. He broke away on the second lap, and he didn't look back, and he just went, from strength to strength. Really strong competition there. Andy Burkett took silver.
Yep, and Chanad Seli is a young Hungarian, finished third. Jeremy Candy was in the mix.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see. We talked about this a bit, but like Hamish Lovemore or Fernando Pimenta in the mix in that race, because those are sort of, you know, maybe some of the only two paddlers who have been able, at least this season, to really challenge Mads over the marathon racing. So, yeah, that's really the only knock that I can come up with. But just watching the degree, the speed, how early he demolished that whole field, like that, I think is a solid contender for Paddle of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it, in my mind, it's well up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had another nomination, which was for Toby Brook for setting a new record on the paddling leg of Coast to Coast, which is the multi sport relay in New Zealand. Toby is a fast paddler from New Zealand. He transitioned from sprint to surfski a few years ago, and he's won or podiumed at some big ocean races in New Zealand. So the kayak leg of the Coast to Coast takes you 67 kilometers downriver on a grade 2 plus river. So you've got some white water there. And he completed that leg this year in 4 hours, 7 minutes, and 51 seconds, setting that overall course record. He actually had to compete in order to get that spot on that relay team, which probably tells you how good that relay team was. And they won the overall title for the 2-day 3-person race at Coast to Coast, team CPNZ with Richard Greer and Angus Petrie. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't heard of that record until we got the nomination, so now I do.
Yeah, I think it's neat. I'm glad we've covered it. We had a little bit of discussion about a nomination for Tom Sharp and Anushka Freeman for their DW win this year, their second DW win together, Tom's third DW win. They won by 4 minutes. That was a phenomenal race that they put together.
Yeah, yeah, the only mixed crew to ever defend their title, and Tom joining the elite list of hat trick wins as well. So very impressive. And then also Tanya Ecker's Loire 725 was also a very good paddle.
Yeah, that was really cool. We talked about that over the summer. I think it was like 5 days of paddling. She had crazy rainstorms. She's put together a great video on it, but she did that on a stand-up paddleboard. Um, and she's had a great year of ultra paddling too. So Tanya is definitely someone I really love following.
So should we do the countdown?
All right, 3, 2, 1. Should we say the name?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Mads
Sebastian
Pedersen.
Simsky. I can't believe we disagree on this one.
Do you know what? We didn't until today when I was. It reminded me of that paddle. I could actually disqualify Mads because he did ruin that race for me because it was just like, okay, he's won. Like, where's the competition? um, I do we have to agree?
um, I thought if we disagreed that we'd just give out 2 awards.
Um,
It'd
we
be
can
nice if
dis.
we agreed, but yeah.
It was the absolute top level of men's marathon racing, and Mads broke away from everyone. And I know that sometimes you can break away and the group can't get together to chase you down, and it does happen. But he just carried on paddling away from everyone, and he
Yeah.
did it so early. I don't know if it's ever been done. I mean, there's probably some elderly. I can't say that either. Some of the past generations that say, "Oh, back in my day when we used to race 50 kilometers for the World Championship, someone did break away on lap one." But I don't remember it happening, and certainly so early. So that's why I'm going with Mads. And whilst Sebastian's paddle was hugely impressive, and I said it was impossible, I would have also said breaking away on so early in the men's marathon was impossible. And am I being harsh on Sebastian? Hey, look, we can disagree. It was close. It was close.
All right. We're going to give it out to both, or I'll do something sneaky in the edit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I will have said Sebastian's name at some point and you can just edit that in.
I'm going to AI your voice in.
Yeah.
All right. So let's wrap it up with looking ahead to next year. What next year are you most looking forward to watching? We'll have to pick one thing each on this.
Okay. Well, I've got two. So I'll say one because I believe that my second one might be your one. So the one that I don't believe you'll have picked would be I'm really looking forward to seeing the senior men's marathon racing, but of the people who aren't Hamish and Mads, the people who are sort of fighting out for that bronze and to get in that front group. So James Russell, John Vold, Jokke Lingberg, Nico Paufler, and have I forgotten anyone of that sort of all those guys that are like just like about to make the step up of being Jimbo like won the Europeans, John Vold got a bunch of medals. That they're all like just there, but like they can't challenge Hamish and Mads. I don't believe. So like at what point I'm really looking forward to seeing them race and do a
Yeah.
bunch of work. Jokke Lindberg put up a really cool reel the other day that got me quite hyped. And, I follow Jimbo on Strava and he's putting in the hard work. Yeah. Did you see John Vold ran a 2:39 marathon the other week,
Oh my
which is
God.
pretty tasty.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are, yeah, these are impressive athletes.
Yeah. I hope it was John Vold and not Elvin Vold, and I've just got the two muddled up. But yeah, so that's what I'm really looking forward to. So, what are you really looking forward to?
Okay. I'm having a problem again because I just can't pick one after saying we have to pick to one. So um, I would say let's switch it up and go for Surfski. I want to see who can challenge Kira
That was
because
exactly what
I
my other one was going to be. Yeah. What's going to happen with like Vakira, DMAC, Gemma, Rosie, Jade, Milani? That like, how is that?
Saskia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that group going to develop?
Yeah. I mean, because Kira has really laid down the gauntlet this year and she has set herself
Yeah.
up really well to basically repeat it all again next year. Like she she was near undefeated. Um, we've given her, Paddlecast Surfski Paddler of the Year,
Yeah.
pretty well deserved, very well deserved. And so I want to know like who is going to respond to that challenge next year. Will Danny and Gemma say, "Wow, I need to like level it up again? Like, can I challenge Kira? I've beaten her before. Can I beat her again? If she's going to keep getting faster." Um, we talked about Rosie Edwards. Is Rosie going to be able to pick up enough speed to actually challenge Kira next year? If it's not next year, I think it could be the following year. And the other, right, Jade and Saskia are in that group. I mean, even like Brindy coming second at the Cape Point Challenge. Like there's other top women around the world. I think there's some good Australians who did really well at WA Race Week. We could definitely see a bigger kind of top end.
You know who is good in a spec ski, and who also has just gone into marathon racing? Kitty.
Oh yeah. Oh, Kitty would be great in some of those. And they're
Yeah,
in Europe, so
and
easy for
and
her
they're
to
in
get
Europe.
to.
So yeah, I was going to message her and find out what she's going to do next season. So I will do that.
That is a great idea. Kitty Shiphurst or Skiphurst, who we talked about from the
Yeah,
Netherlands, has done her first big international marathon race was World Games,
yeah,
which was phenomenal. She did really well. I want to say she was top 10 in one of those races.
yeah. But she's very good on a ski. So like,
Yeah.
put the two together, you're going to be good at ocean racing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'd be great. Anyway, fingers
Right.
crossed.
So
We'll have to
I'm
leave it there.
glad I'm glad that your one was my other one.
I've
Yeah.
got more, but I'm really gonna try and keep it timely. So
Okay. So the warm down.
we got something big to talk about here.
Yeah, I was really excited when I saw this on social media. So we would like to acknowledge a record that has just been achieved, which is on the Wilson's Challenge. Uh, Lena Krause and Sharon Armstrong became the first women to complete 10 Miller's runs in a day.
Yeah, this is so cool. It's like it is exactly the type of challenge, Billy, that you would be after if you lived in South Africa.
My exact words to Lena when I messaged her was like, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, that fully checks out. So this was really cool. So the challenge was started in 2015 in memory of Wayne Wilson by some of his friends. And it is 129 kilometers of paddling all in one day out on the ocean. You do get the benefit that it's all downwinds, right? So you do a run, a downwinder run, and then you get driven back to the start. You do it again. So there's some logistics that goes into this. They completed it. Lena and Sharon completed it, I think, the week before Cape Point Challenge.
Yeah, if you read her post on it, it was some crazy sort of scheduling. She raced the night before doing the Sea Dog
Oh
series,
yeah,
and yeah, and I think she was like, yeah, she certainly was up against it schedule wise.
yeah. Yeah, Lena has been spending, she's from Scotland, but has been spending a lot of time in South Africa over the last few months. And
Yeah,
what a really cool challenge to have completed. So, yeah, huge congratulations to Lena and Sharon for completing the Wilson's Challenge, 10 Miller's runs in one day. And go check out their posts. I'll link to them if I can in the description because they've both written up some great summaries of their experience. I think that takes us to the end of the episode and our last Paddlecast episode of the year.
it's been good. It's been emotional.
It has. Thank you to everyone who has listened. And yeah, we always love to hear from you if you have ideas for topics for us to cover. And sponsors, please reach out. We do need sponsors to keep doing this. And otherwise, see you next year and see you on the water.
See you on the water.